Hey guys, the dude from Denmark here. Over the last few weeks I've been showing you spoilers for the new upcoming set Fates Reforged. Today I wanted to talk about the deck ideas I have for Fates Reforged, and you're more than welcome to leave me a comment down below and tell me what your deck ideas for Fates Reforged is. Anyway, let's get going. In Fates Reforged we finally started to get some dragons, and of all the dragons I really want to make a deck around Silumgar the Drifting Death, which I think is definitely the most interesting one of these 5 dragons. I think many of these dragons aren't that special, but I really like Silumgar the Drifting Death. I mean, flying hexproof and is a 3/7 by itself is just really good. 6 mana isn't that much, I think, but whenever a dragon Nuclear attacks, creatures defending player controls get -1/-1 until a turn. And this of course stacks if you control with more dragons, just like all the other dragons do. So it definitely seems like a blue and black dragon deck would be really fun. Another color I wanted to throw in is green, because there are some cards in green that could go really well with this dragon. So a blue, green, and black dragon deck would be fun to make. In Fates Reforged we got these uncommon dragons, where if you want to make a blue, black, and green deck, you could put them in. The problem with these dragons is that they aren't really that interesting, to be honest. I think the black one is actually okay. The green one could also potentially be good to destroy something non-creature permanent. It's just too bad it's not creature permanent. That would be really awesome. The blue one is just a typical mill thing, which, by the way, I'm really happy that Silumgar isn't about, and more about -1 counters, which I think is way more fun. So I'm actually I don't really want to put the blue one in, but yeah, you kind of have to in this set if you want to build around dragons, unless of course you want to build a casual deck where you just take a lot of other dragons in other sets. But these 3 dragons could be potential for this deck, or at least should be, again, if you want to give minus counters to creatures. In Fates Reforged we have a card called Crux of Fate, which is a sorcery where you destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragon creatures for 5 mana. This seems like a must-have, since you obviously want to make a dragon tribal deck, and then you just destroy all non-dragon creatures, so you're the only one who have dragon creatures left. At first, when I read about Silumgar, I thought, hexproof was equal to that if you destroy all dragon creatures, this dragon won't be destroyed, but since it isn't indestructible, it still will be destroyed, sadly. But I still think that the Crux of Fate is a really good card to have in a dragon deck. Another obvious choice to put into your this kind of dragon deck is Fearsome Awakening, which is a sorcery that costs 5 mana to cast. You return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and if it's a dragon, put 2 1/1 counters on it. This seems like a no-brainer, of course, so there's not really much to talk about, but it's just really awesome that we get a support card that can return target creature to a graveyard, and plus, if it's a dragon, something better will happen, so you can use it for 2 different situations. But for instance, if we return Silumgar, it would be a 5/9 with flying hexproof. That seems really crazy. So it definitely seems like a good card to have in a dragon deck. In Fates Reforged we have a cycle of enchantments that where you either choose Khans or dragons, and then something happens if you choose one of them. The black one isn't the best one, I think, but it's okay, especially if you choose the Khan's ability, where at the beginning of your upkeep return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This could mean that since you run a lot of dragons, you will of course have some dragons die, and then at the beginning of your upkeep you can just return your dragon to your hand again. I don't think the dragon version is that good compared to the Khan's one, but losing 2 life to the opponent and you gain 2 life at the beginning of the upkeep is of course really good. But I rather want to have dragons back from the graveyard to my hand. But again, the cool thing about these cards is that you choose it from the situation you're in at the moment, which is really good, I think. The reason why I really want to have green in this deck is because the green version of where you choose cards or dragons, the enchantment cycle, is that if you choose dragons, now whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature you don't control. This is really good since all the dragons have of course flying, and you could also put other flying stuff from Phase the Forts into this deck. If you look at Silumgar, he's only a 3/7. 3 in power isn't that much, but again, if you buff him up or whatever, this could be really good. But also other dragons in general that have higher power could be really good with this. So this enchantment seems like a really good choice to have in a dragon deck. The blue version of this cycle also seems really good if you choose the dragons, where spells your opponents cast that target you or a permanent you control. It will now cost 2 colors more to cast. With Silumgar having hexproof, and now also your creatures and yourself can't be the target unless the opponent pay more mana. That seems in a combo really annoying for the opponent, so it seems really good to have this card in it. In blue we also have a card called Supplement Form, which is an instant that costs you 6 mana to cast, where you return target creature to its owner's hand. You then put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature. Imagine that Silumgar, because it have hexproof, the opponent really wants to do a spell where it just destroys everything on the battlefield. You then cast this card and return it to your hand, and then you get a token out of this legendary creature, which seems really awesome. I know it costs you 6 mana to cast, which is a lot. The dragon also costs 6 mana, but yeah, it's a lot to do this. But if you have 6 mana free, it seems like a really good thing to do, and I really love that we get something else from it instead of just return it to its to return it to our hand. So definitely seems like a good card. The cool thing about the Silumgar having high toughness is that it seems that in Khans of Takia and also Phase the Forts, it seems like high toughness matters, which I think is kind of cool. Since in Phase the Forts we have a card called Grim Contest, and it's an instant that costs you 3 mana to cast, where you choose target creature you control and target creature an opponent controls. Each of those creatures deal damage equal to its toughness to each other. This is really awesome since Silumgar suddenly is a 7 in power, you know, and the opponent, you of course choose a creature the opponent have which doesn't have that high in toughness, and then you will win. So it definitely seems like a good card to have in a dragon deck, at least with the Silumgar that have high toughness. Another dragon I really want to make is the green and white dragon Dromoka the Eternal, which costs you 5 mana and is a 5/5 with flying, and whenever a dragon you control attacks, bolster 2. The new bolster mechanic seems like a fun mechanic that keep your creatures getting better if they are falling behind, if you can say that. With the toughness, again, toughness seems to matter in this set. This dragon seems like a really fun dragon to have, and again the whole bolster thing stacks if you control with more dragons. What I want to do with this deck is making a green, white and black. Again, I think black is really good with the dragons, since of course with the Crux of Fate, and the other one where you return dragons, where you can return a dragon to your hand from the graveyard and it will get counters on it. Another reason why I want to make another dragon deck where the white color is in it is because these 5 uncommon dragons where we have one of each color, I definitely think the white one is the best one, the Ward Scale Dragon, that costs you 6 mana and is a 4/4 and got flying, and when it's attacking, defending player can cast spells. This seems like a really fun thing and kinda hexproofish, which I find really awesome, and seems really annoying for the opponent that you can burn your creatures or whatever or something. So definitely seems like this could be fun in a dragon deck. If we look at the bolster mechanic, Absalom Sky Captain is a bird soldier creature that costs you 4 mana to cast, and it's a 2/2 with flying. When it dies, you get to bolster 2. I think this cost a bit too much, but one of the reasons I want to have it in is because it got flying, and because Dromoka is in the green color, where we have that either choose Khans or dragon enchantment that makes if when a creature enters the battlefield with flying, you choose to fight another creature. So in general, you could actually do this with this creature, and it's only a 2/2. So if it dies, for instance, you can just choose to bolster something, which seems really fun. In white we also have the white circle enchantment of choosing cards of dragons, where you either at the beginning of combat on your turn put 2 1/1 counters on target creature you control, or at the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn tap target creature that player controls. I definitely think that if you choose cards, this could get really out of hand really quickly and just buff your creatures really high, really quick. The dragons could also be good, but I actually rather want to have the 1/1 counter. That seems really stupid. Also because you actually don't have to attack with the creatures, it just says at the beginning of combat on your turn. So you can just, be defensive while still getting counters on. That seems really crazy. The last two deck ideas I have is both two decks I made in Khans of Tarkir, which I now want to rebuild and put some new cards into. Where the first one is the Absan clan, where I built a deck around Irotusk Fortress and the Retribution of the Ancient, where the Irotusk Fortress was all about that if you had creatures with 1/1 counters on them, they would untap in the opponent's turn, which was really awesome. And the Retribution of the Ancients was all about that you're having a lot of counters on them, and then you could just remove your counters to destroy target creatures with, which seems really fun. The problem in Khans of Tarkir was that the Outlast mechanic was really boring and really slow to put counters on, and the card in general we had was really slow. With the bolster mechanic, it seems much easier to do. So now I actually want to put some cards into this deck I have where it's all about bolster, because that seems to be quicker than the cards in the Khans of Tarkir. For instance, Dragon Scale General is a human warrior creature that costs you 4 mana to cast and is a 2/3, and at the beginning of your end step bolster X, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control. With the Irotusk Fortress, I always want to attack because they will untap if they have a 1/1 counter on it, which means that this will just bolster X, where the amount is to what I attack with tapped, which seems like a really good combo. Another one is the Honors Reward, which for 3 mana I get to bolster 2, but also I get 4 life, which seems really good. It's always good to have some life gaining in your deck. Map the Waste, for instance, is a green sorcery that costs you 3 mana, where you get to search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and then you get to bolster 1. This card gives a 1/1 counter plus searching library for a land card, which is really awesome, I think. So I think it would be good in a deck around bolstering. The other deck I really want to upgrade is a deck I made in Khans of Tarkir with the raid mechanic, where it's all about if you attack with a creature this turn, you get to put something out on the battlefield that benefits from you attacking this turn. The cool thing about this deck is that in Khans of Tarkir it's actually really aggressive, but with the new dash mechanic we have in Phase 40, it's getting even more aggressive, which would be really fun to splash into. So having a dash and a raid mechanic tied together. Mardu's Shadow Spear is a 1-drop that's a 1/1, and whenever Mardu's Shadow Spear attacks, each opponent loses 1 life. The dash mechanic on this card costs you 2 mana to cast. In itself it's really good as a 1-drop, but if you get it at another time in your game later, when you don't really just need the one drop, you can for 2 mana cast this, attack, and then the opponent will lose 1 life and you get it back. Of course if it dies you don't, but it's still really good and aggressive to just let the opponent quickly lose 1 life. And then you have activated the raid trigger, and then just cast something that had the raid mechanic. Goblin Heel Cutter is a Goblin Berserker red creature that costs you 4 mana to cast and is 3/2. Whenever Goblin Heel Cutter attacks, target creature can block this turn. The dash mechanic on this card costs you 3 mana to cast. It's really awesome that the dash mechanic is cheaper than the actual card, because for this I actually want to just dash it instead of using it normal to get it in and attack with it, so the opponent have a creature it can't block with, which seems like a really awesome and aggressive card, and again it triggers raid, so definitely an awesome card to have in a raid. dash deck. Looking outside of the raid and dash mechanic, Alessia, who smiles at death, seems like an obvious choice to have in such deck. She's also the card need of Back in Time for the Mardu clan, which is really awesome. If you pay this, she got First Dragon is a 3/2, and if you pay 2 mana of either white and black, you get to return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. This is really awesome since it also trigger the raid mechanic, so you could put take a raid creature back tapped and attacking, and the raid will trigger because you have attacked, which is a really nice combo. So she definitely seems like a really aggressive card to have in such a deck. Brutal Horde Chief is an Orc Warrior creature that costs you 4 mana to cast and is a 3/3 black. Whenever you whenever a creature you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. For 5 mana you can control which creatures will block this turn of the opponent, which in an aggressive raid and dash deck seems really good to have. And also just because you just attack with a lot of things, with the tokens, with everything, and then the opponent lose 1 life and you gain 1 life, which is really awesome. So it seems really good to have in a deck like this. That was the deck ideas I had for Fated Forge. You're more than welcome to leave me a comment down below and tell me which deck ideas you have for Fated Forge and what you think about this set in general. Whenever there are new information coming out about the third set, I'll be making a new video, so if you're interested in this, you can subscribe to me. Until next time, have fun guys.